This was deemed as the weakest dream team in the US, with Kobe, LeBron, Durant all absent, and Paul George, the core, had a season-ending injury during training. Yet, the end result was completely unexpected. Irving, in his third year wearing the number 10 jersey, left a string of brilliant performances on the international stage, scoring 26 points in the final and shining on the world stage. What was the situation then? Turn back the clock to the start of the 2014 to 2015 season. The US team, in preparation for the World Cup, invited a host of star players, but many of them dodged the invitation with excuses. After the final roster was announced, everyone believed this was the weakest all-star team ever. And, before the game started, another piece of bad news cast a gloomy shadow on their championship prospects. Paul George broke his leg during training while defending Harden. From then on, the games hadn't even started yet, and the U.S. team was universally considered to be in decline by the public. But when the games were underway, a player wearing the number 10 jersey turned the whole situation around. Irving, in his third year, was on fire, no matter what country he was playing against or which defending player he faced. He shot with precision, just as if he had a scope mounted, because Coach K was in charge, and also because the coach adored his protege. Irving replaced Curry and became the starting point guard. And Irving did not disappoint Coach K. Under his leadership, the U.S. men's basketball team defeated a host of strong teams and made it to the finals. The final opponent was Serbia. Their head coach is now the head coach of the Chinese men's basketball team, Djordjevic. After the game started, the Serbian players, through tactical passing, caught the U.S. team off guard, which forced Coach K to call a timeout to remind his own players. After the timeout, the ball was handed to Kyrie Irving. He kept scoring without stopping, quickly erasing the point gap, and helped the U.S. team establish a decent advantage. But this was just the beginning. A red-hot Irving couldn't be stopped. Three-pointers were guaranteed to score every time he shot. In the end, Djordjevic had no choice but to shrug helplessly. At the end of the match, Irving scored 26 points and led the team to victory. His three-pointers were notable, making all 6 attempts. During the 9 games of the World Cup, Irving averaged 12 points and 3.6 assists per game. This performance saw him outshine a host of all-stars and hoist the MVP trophy of that World Cup. But it was just the beginning. Back in the NBA, there were more important things waiting for him. LeBron's joining lifted the team to a higher level. They also made it to the playoffs successfully. A new challenge was waiting for him. Could they win the championship? If Kyrie Irving doesn't get injured, it's really uncertain who could win this series. Even today, the Cavaliers look back at the 2015 finals with regret. If Irving hadn't been injured, they could have defeated the Golden State Warriors and taken the championship a year earlier. But injury is part of the game. No one can guarantee that Irving wouldn't get injured, and that would determine the course of that series. Time flashback to the first round of the 2015 playoffs. The Cleveland Cavaliers advanced triumphantly. Under the leadership of James, they returned to the playoffs after many years. In the first round, they faced the Celtics. This team is no longer what it used to be. The Big Three also fell apart under the ravages of time. The Cavaliers did not give them a chance. After all, this team was one of those that made LeBron leave the Cavaliers back then. They had no mercy. In the second round against the old-school powerhouse Bulls, Irving, despite being injured, made a comeback on the front line and ultimately defeated them with ease to enter the Eastern Conference Finals. And, among the Eastern teams that year, a team charged out as a dark horse. That was the Atlanta Hawks. But, faced with such a team, LeBron and Irving effectively made no missteps, sweeping the opponent for a clock with ease to enter the finals. And their opponents were the rapidly rising Golden State Warriors in those few years. Not to mention the home star, Curry, with his incredibly soft touch and ball control skills, came to represent a new generation of point guards. The clash between the two teams could be described as a sword fight. But the Cavaliers had a hidden worry. It was that Irving had an injury on his right foot during the Eastern Conference Finals. Long hours of high-strength competition put him at risk of injury at any time. But this is not the time to think about that. The championship trophy is within reach. Who doesn't want to give it a shot? The first game was held in the Oracle Arena. Both sides showed their top-level performances. So, at the end of regular time, neither team was able to pull ahead. The overtime came as expected. But just at the crucial moment, Irving encountered a problem. During one attack, Irving's left knee collided with Thompson. He was then helped off the court limping. Without the support of Irving, the Cavaliers were taken away by the hot form of the Golden State players. But compared to losing a game, Irving's post-match medical report was the last straw that broke the Cavaliers' back. He fractured his left knee and needed immediate surgery, which means, in the games following the finals, Irving would not return. This was undoubtedly a terrible news for the Cavaliers, but they still fought to win 2 games, even glimpsing the light of victory at one point. But just when it mattered most, Warriors coach Kerr pulled out a fascinating move. This move allowed the Warriors to win 3 matches straight and reverse the Cavaliers to win the championship. What was that move? "We won't make any changes. We will continue to play as usual," Kerr said to the media with ease. Facing the 1-2 deficit in the finals, everyone knew that if the Warriors didn't make a change, they would most probably lose the championship. But Kerr didn't reveal anything in the interview. What was he playing at? In the 2015 finals, the Cavaliers, despite the injury of Kyrie Irving, pulled 2 consecutive victories and took the lead in the series. Everyone knew, if the Warriors didn't make a change, the Cavaliers would secure 3 championship points, and the Warriors' comeback would be merely theoretical. Prior to the start of the 4th game, some media asked Coach Kerr what changes he would make, but Kerr just smiled, saying he wouldn't make any changes. But once the game started, everyone realized their starting lineup had changed. Kerr promoted the veteran Andre Iguodala to the starting lineup, setting speed as the standard, hoping they could break the Cavaliers' defense before settling down. At the start of the 4th game, LeBron James quickly discovered a loophole in this lineup. As long as they played ground war, they could rely on their height advantage to score. However, as the match progressed, the Death 5 lineup started to show its effects. Relying on their high mobility, they caught the Cavaliers off guard. Their fast counterattack scoring eventually worked. In the following matches, the Cavaliers, lacking a counter strategy and missing Irving on the court, had no answer to the Death 5. As a result, the Warriors successfully won 3 consecutive games and secured the championship, leaving the Cavaliers in dismay. After the finals, some media shared their thoughts. They thought if Irving hadn't been injured in the series, the Cavaliers may have beaten the Warriors to clinch the championship. But unfortunately, there's no room for what-ifs. What the Cavaliers need to do now is regroup and come back stronger in the next season to take revenge on the Warriors while staying healthy. Can they do it?